I can still remember the first business that I started with $0, and truth be told, it taught me more than anything else that I've done since then. For me, it was using my dad's push mower to start a lawn mowing gig in my neighborhood. So in this video, we're going to be covering 15 business ideas that you can start with literally $0 in your pocket. So rest assured, if you're flat broke right now, this is the video for you. My promise to you is that if you commit to this entire video, you will walk away with a business idea that you can fully execute on that will cost you nothing. But first, let me explain the important concept of bootstrapping, since that's what you're going to be doing here. Well, starting a business with $0 will teach you countless important lessons about business, and there's sort of this myth out there that you need to have a ton of money in order to start a legitimate business. I would actually argue that many of these $0 businesses are far more legitimate than some of these paid business opportunities that you see people pursuing today. Also, keep in mind that the side hustle you start today doesn't have to be the side hustle you do tomorrow. So keep this idea in the back of your head of using your first side hustle to get seed money or startup money for the next big side hustle idea. Bootstrapping is the idea of using whatever resources you have available to you right now to make things happen. No excuses. So we have already dispelled the myth that you need money to start a business. You 100% do not need any money, and I'm going to prove that to you shortly. Now, two things before we get into the specifics, because I want to plant these seeds now. Number one, consider documenting whatever $0 business idea you try on social media, because that is going to give you the added benefit of growing a following. This in turn could become a secondary income stream down the line. And number two, we kind of touched on this already, but think about using an entry-level side hustle idea as a stepping stone to your next big business venture. That being said, I want to cover what you shouldn't do if you're flat broke and trying to start a business. Well, first of all, if you have $0 to start a side hustle, you might be broke to begin with, or you just don't want to risk any money with your business. Either way, do not make the mistake of using the little resources you have available to you today to try to make money with your money. Instead, you need to fully rely on your wits, abilities, and the resources that you have right in front of you today. So just to be clear, we are not talking about investments of any kind. We're not talking about crypto, stocks, real estate. There are no affiliate links, and there is no sponsor in this video. Because one thing I have found is that in life, knowing what not to do is half the battle. Unfortunately, people use videos like this to give misleading ideas about how you can make money in real estate with $0 down and no credit, or how this crypto trading bot can make you, passive income. It's all bullshit, guys, and you're not going to get any of it from me today. What I ask for you in return is a simple like on this video if you're tired of the bullshit here on YouTube and you want to see more wholesome content like this video. Also, feel free to wait till the end and see if you actually like it, but if at any point in time you have like a light bulb moment, or you're like, man, this is actually a pretty damn good video, all that I ask is you drop a like and maybe leave a comment and share it with a friend. So the very first $0 business idea is resodding lawns. And for each of these business ideas, we're going to be breaking down the same criteria, which is supplies, skills required, earnings potential, pros and the cons. That way you have a big picture overview of the business opportunity. Well, sod is available at Home Depot, but a local nursery is going to have the best grass for the given area. And what you're going to do is have your customer call in and order pallets to be delivered ahead of time. So you don't even need to have a truck or worry about any type of sod delivery yourself. You also don't need any type of working capital because your customer is going to pay for all of the material. In terms of the supplies needed, you are going to need a hoe, but you could definitely borrow one because most homeowners already have this. You're going to need dirt, which you're going to order alongside the sod because you're going to need fresh, healthy dirt to go underneath. You also need the sod, which will be supplied by the homeowner, and then you need water, which comes out of their spigot. So the only skill that you truly need for this business is hard work. You can benefit from the fact that there's going to be lots of referrals, because when one person does the sod in their neighborhood, all of a sudden everyone does that. And I'm saying that from first-hand experience, as many of these business ideas are. Also, there is a 100% profit margin in this business, and that is just not possible with most opportunities today. The con is a major one. It's hot and it's extremely difficult work, but you can make $5,000 or more, 100% profit per job that you do. You could also consider doing real grass or artificial grass, because artificial grass is getting very popular in areas like South Florida and California based on how much it costs to keep up with and water a lawn. Now, I know it might be difficult to get someone to do a $5,000 job with you at first, so let me tell you the stepping stones to this business. Well, number one, you're gonna start out by just going to Home Depot and waiting in the parking lot for somebody who's coming out with a ton of different bags of mulch or grass seed or something like that. At that point, you're simply going to approach that person and offer to help them loading it into their vehicle, and while you're doing that, you can soft pitch them on your landscaping services. Pretty much whatever they have in their hands, offer to help them with that given project. From there, I would just do that first gig and then try to get into some type of lawn mowing service with them or ongoing landscaping services. It's usually easier to get gigs like resodding lawns and things like that if you are already mowing the lawn for a person's property. One final tip I have for you, if you don't like the Home Depot approach and you don't want to go out and mow lawns to then upsell sodding, well, what you can do is look for recently sold homes on Zillow and then reach out to or even stop by those addresses and just say, hey, I noticed you just bought the house. I have a sodding service if you want me to redo your landscaping. Resodding lawns is a big part of flipping, so it is something that many people are going to need if they are working on a flip. So the second idea is starting a shipping or courier service. And this is if you have a truck, van, or car. This is basically the business of transporting stuff. You can simply go to uship.com, which is a free marketplace where you can find shipments all over the United States. In terms of supplies, you just need to have reliable transportation, and the skill involved is simply long distance driving. Now, according to multiple sources, you can expect to make $35.90 per hour on average doing uship. However, that doesn't seem to include your costs of gas and other maintenance with your vehicle. The pro is that it's a 100% solo business opportunity where you work for yourself. The con is there are going to be long durations of time spent away from home. So here's how to scale up with this business. Start out by delivering stuff with your car and then save up enough money to buy a small to medium sized commercial van. At that point, focus on the medium deliveries where you can make a little bit more money. And then if you want to go big, get a semi truck in your CDL to be able to compete with the big guys on the site. A reliable used van is going to cost you around $20,000 to $30,000. However, a semi truck is going to cost you $50,000 to $70,000 on average. You'll also need a CDL if you plan on doing a semi truck and going after those big deliveries. And as a supplementary business, if you are having times when you're not busy, you could also do meal delivery in between shipments to double down on using your vehicle to make money. So the third idea here is pest control. And this is a business that I have personally spent $1,500 on in just the last 2 years alone on my house flip here in Miami Beach. Now hear me out. I know a lot of people are going to say, how do you start a pest control business with $0? Well, I'm going to tell you right now. Step number one is to advertise for free. So put some ads on Craigslist. Maybe you put your phone number on your truck. Just literally get your name and number out there related to pest control. Step number two, you're going to wait for your first call. Step number three, at that point, you drive over and you meet with the client and you're going to give them a quote for whatever they're looking to have done. At that point, you collect a $100 deposit, which is used to go out and procure the necessary supplies. Step number five, come back with everything you need, complete the work, and then step number six, receive full payment. Now, one thing I will say is that most, if not all states in the US require you to have a pest control license or certification, and oftentimes you have to work in the pest control business for a period of time before you get that license. However, what normally happens is somebody with a license is able to pretty much sub-license that to somebody else. So I will say that you may want to work in this industry before going out on your own. However, if you simply decide to work with friends and family first, maybe you decide to take the risk of not having the certification and paying for it later out of the proceeds of the business. So in my great state here of Florida, if you wanted to execute on this idea, you would need a pest control business license, which has a cost of $300, but there's also this requirement that you have to work for another pest control company that is licensed for a set period of time first. So guys, pest control can be a remarkable cash business for those who are brave enough for the challenge. The supplies are pretty much a phone and transportation because, as we said, you're simply going to collect a $100 deposit to go out and buy the cages or the bee spray or whatever you might need to take care of the given pest. The skills involved is anything to do with animals or professional animal or pest handling, and in addition to that, you do need to look into certification and licensing requirements that vary from state to state. The earnings potential here is $1,000 or more per day, and I'm telling you that based on personal experience because what you're seeing right there, that guy in the white suit was on my flat roof here taking care of a bee's nest for the second time, and each time that these guys came out, it was $700 or so, maybe $750 in cash. So simple math, if you do 2 houses a day, you're making $1,500 cash. If you do 3, you're making over $2,000 per day cash. As for the pros, it's a very high demand skill and you're usually in urgent need of the service when you need it, so you're willing to pay up. The con, it's dangerous and it's difficult. So idea number 4 is going to be great for any pet lovers out there, and it's offering dog training classes. But I want to actually give you the whole stack here because it's often difficult to get people who are strangers to agree to have you teach their dogs different things or even teach them how to train their dogs because they don't know you and they don't know what you know. So what I recommend doing instead is starting off with the service of dog walking and then upselling additional services from there. So for example, if you started off with dog walking, let's say $20 for 20 minutes going door to door in different neighborhoods, after that you could mention your dog training services, and then if they become more comfortable with you after the dog training services, that is when you offer boarding or dog sitting in their home while they are on vacation or on different business travel or things like that. Now, I'm always a fan of making money in multiple different ways with businesses, so let me give you a pro tip here for how to develop a secondary income stream in the dog business. So let's say you're making money with dog walking, dog training, and dog sitting. Well, another service that you could offer is taxiing the dogs to and from the groomer. Now, you might be asking yourself, how will that enable you to make more money? Well, what you're going to do is you're going to approach the different groomers in the area, and you're going to tell them that you can deliver a high volume of dogs in need of grooming, but you want a 10% commission in the process. At that point, you charge your clients for the taxi service to the groomer, but you're also making 10% of the total grooming bill in the process, sort of like an affiliate or referral relationship. Another idea for some upsells here is you could look into making your own homemade dog treats because that can have huge profit margins. And if you don't want to make them yourself, I would recommend going to a farmer's market because most of them these days have all natural dog treats, and you could simply buy them there and then sell them to your clients later or just kind of have it as part of the overall service. One final idea you could offer to help manage and organize vet records for your clients for a monthly fee. So if you ended up with a couple dozen clients paying you like $10 a month, there's yet another revenue stream with this pet business. So the next $0 business idea to consider is any type of writing service. There's numerous different important documents that we need in our later teenage years and even our early 20s, including the resume, college essay, and cover letter, just to name a few. Well, what I recommend doing here is offering a writing and proofreading services that also has some type of referral program. With this business, the only supplies needed are a laptop and an internet connection, and if you're a college student or even a high school student these days, you probably already have both. The skills involved is that you do need to understand writing, and you also need to be a grammar pro. With this business idea, the earnings potential is anywhere from $50 to $150 per hour. The pros are that it's 100% digital, but it is a very boring business, making that a con. However, if you're super into grammar and writing, it might not be a boring business, so that would literally be the perfect business for you, because this is boring and difficult for literally everyone else out there. Me, myself, I like writing, so this would be a great, business for me to do, and it's something I actually did do in college, which was helping friends with resumes, and I didn't formally charge them, but everybody always slipped me a little bit of cash here and there, or they would just buy me lunch or something like that. So here's my advice on how to take action with this business idea. Well, you're going to start by offering a free proofreading service at your college or even your high school, assuming you're allowed to put up flyers, and you're simply going to collect leads. At that point, what you're going to do is mark up the first page only of whatever document these people send you. Here's the thing. Nobody wants just a single page of their resume or cover letter, whatever it may be, to be edited. And if it's just one page that they send you, then just do the first paragraph. So what that means is that most people, after seeing the number of mistakes in their first page or first paragraph and realizing that there's going to be more as they keep going, well, a lot of those people are going to come back to you and say, hey, I want to utilize your services. It's kind of like the psychology behind the mall kiosks, where they're offering to clean one of your shoes for free. After you clean one shoe, you're not exactly going to walk around the mall with one dirty shoe and one clean shoe. So what you end up doing most of the time is paying the $20 or whatever it is to just have them wash both shoes. So free proofreads lead to a full proofread, and that full proofread can lead to you upselling other writing services. And of course, with the referral program, I would simply tell people that if they refer a friend, even before you start out working with them, even after the proofread, you'll give them $10 off. And so really, you might only have to do, any type of marketing of your business just one time, and then it could be entirely referral driven from that point forward. Business idea number 6 is one that is very important to me, and that is blogging. This particular business has made me over $500,000 in revenue since 2018 alone, and this is just from random blogs that aren't even my major full-time business. My main business is operating this YouTube channel, but I have a lot of extra time on my hands, so I spent that time building different blogs, and I plan on building many more in the future. And success with blogging comes down to one thing. You simply have to fill the gaps that are overlooked by the big players that are referred to as long tail keywords. So let me give you an example looking at best dating app. Best dating app is considered a short tail keyword, and it's highly competitive. So if you were starting a blog and you were trying to rank for that search term, you might as well not even bother writing that article, because it's going to get absolutely no traffic. But on the other hand, if you focus on the long tail keywords, which are the things you're seeing below this, best dating apps for professionals, for over 50, for serious relationships, those are more specific, lower competition, long tail keywords, and blogging is simply a matter of filling in those gaps and better answering these questions than people have before you. So the supplies involved with blogging are simply a laptop and an internet connection, and the skill would be writing, unless you're going to fully rely on the services of other people. Most of my blogs are fully handled by other people for the writing, even though I heavily contributed with the writing early on. We hire teams of freelance writers that we pay around 8 cents per word, and that is how we get most of the articles across my blog portfolio. Now, earnings potential with these blogs could be $1,000 per day or more. Or for example, one of my blogs had a particular month where in 2021, we made over $67,000 from one single article. A big pro here with blogging is the potential to earn passive income, because once you scale up a blog, it's very easy to bring on a writer and an editor and just a couple of other simple roles, and then that business is completely self-operating. The con is that it's a long-term investment, and it's going to take you a year or two to get your blog up and running and bringing in serious revenue. For me, I like to think of blogging as similar to a high school report on a given topic. You pretty much just research things that you're already curious about, and then you're basically writing about them in the same way that you would for something like a high school project. And the types of articles that we find that do well on our sites are FAQ, which is basically answering questions people have about things, how-to guides that are instructional, reviews of different platforms or products in that niche, versus or comparison content, which is looking at one thing versus another. So let's say it was apples versus oranges. And then finally, listicle content does really well, which is any type of top 10, top 7 articles of that nature. And not only is this business a passive income stream, but you could also sell part of your blog or all of your blog at a future date. And I have already done that myself with one of the blogs I started in 2020. I sold off the majority of that blog just to get some money in my pocket to direct to a couple of different investments. So you can make serious money with blogging in so many different avenues. That is why it is my ultimate side hustle. It's the one that has made me more money than anything else except for YouTube. That's probably on the top, but blogging is really a close second there in terms of my total revenue earned. Now, I mentioned this on the last slide, but I'm going to be launching my 3rd blog in the near future, and I'm going to be documenting everything, every single step of the process. And what I'm going to be doing is packaging that up into a 4-part course called Affiliate Blogging 101. But wait for it, guys, it is going to be free. I am not charging for this in any way, shape, or form. What this is going to be is a completely free bonus only for those who pre-order a copy of my book, From Side Hustle to Main Hustle to Millionaire, coming out in January of 2023. Here's what's going to be covered in the course. Not every passion out there translates to a profitable business idea, so this section is going to be all about how to match one of your passions with a legitimate way to make money. After that, part 2 is going to be content roadmap. Also, every one of these videos is going to be shot just like my YouTube channel in 4K, absolutely best possible quality, edited by my fantastic editor Rob. So I just wanted to let you know what to expect in terms of the quality of this course. So within content roadmap, we're going to be going through what I call the hub and spokes approach, which is how I have done very well with launching numerous different blogs with a small amount of articles. A lot of people think you need dozens of articles, but the truth is you often need just 10 to successfully launch a blog. So if you can write 10 articles, you can launch an affiliate blog. I'll show you how. So after that, part 3 is going to be a live blog launch, which is where I'm going to be showing you everything involved with starting and launching a self-hosted WordPress website. Lastly, part 4 is going to be called Your First Year, and it's pretty much a step-by-step instruction on how to operate your blog for the first 365 days. So anybody who takes this course is going to get every single one of my blogging secrets, as well as a step-by-step tutorial while you watch me launch my next successful blogging venture. And then I'm going to tell you exactly how to set yourself up for success in the first year, so that a year from now, you have a passive income asset yourself. So once again, this is going to be free only for those who pre-order a copy of my book. If you buy the book on January 3rd, the day it comes out, you will not get this course. This is only for those who pre-order a book before January 3rd when this book comes out. So if you're interested, what you have to do is pre-order a copy of the book. Then you're going to take a screenshot of that pre-order confirmation, and you're going to send that to me on Instagram, as well as your best email, which is going to be what I use to enroll you in the course on Teachable when it comes out sometime in November. Another alternative method, if you don't have Instagram, is you can email me a copy of your screenshot to the email address info@ryanoscribner.com. So one more time, guys, just to be abundantly clear, this course will never ever be for sale, and it will never be available anywhere else or any other way. The only possible way to get this course is pre-ordering my book, From Side Hustle to Main Hustle to Millionaire, and that link is on my shirt. Go to sidehustlebook.info to pre-order a copy today, and then follow the simple steps on screen, and then I will send you Affiliate Blogging 101, the 4-part course in November, and I will teach you how to get your blog up and running. So business idea number 7 is vacation or event planning, and I lumped them together because they are pretty similar businesses. Vacation planners often get paid by the hotels and amenities, not the guests themselves. So that's kind of an interesting business here because your service is usually free for your clients because you're getting paid by the hotels and the different amenities that you're recommending. That's restaurants, entertainment, things like that. On the other hand, event planners take care of things like vendors, caterers, tickets, and all other aspects of event planning. And the reason why I have event planners on this list is because a lot of people don't realize it can be a virtual side hustle, and because a lot of people are eager to get back into events and things like that, there's plenty of these happening, and I believe there is a decent amount of demand for event-based services. So just for example, I found this virtual assistant and event project planner on Upwork, and he charges $57 per hour for virtual event planning services. Now, according to multiple sources, event planners can expect to make anywhere from 15 to 20% of the entire cost of the event, so you can make a decent amount of money here. And in terms of being a vacation planner, well, as we mentioned, it's usually commission-based because you're getting paid by the restaurants and the hotels and airports and things like that. So in that case, it's normally a 5 to 20% travel commission. And so what I want you to do real quick on the vacation planning side is just think about all of the different things that you yourself like to do on vacation or that other people like to do. And then to start out with this business, what you're going to do is just reach out to these types of businesses or services in your local area where you already live. And then you're going to tell them, hey, I am offering a vacation planning business where I help people who are coming to this area have a really good time. And I would like to get people into your restaurant. What type of deal can we work out? And you're just going to repeat this across many different types of venues. It's going to be bars, clubs, and you're just going to build this massive roster and network of entertainment options, and you become this basically entertainment concierge service. So I will leave you with this. Imagine if you could simply earn a 10% commission off of every dollar that somebody spent on vacation. Well, that is possible with vacation planning. Do keep in mind, recessions happen, and that's not going to be great for this business. Also, that whole pandemic lockdown was detrimental for this business, but that in mind, that might be a good reason to get into the business since so many people got out of it just a few years ago. So business idea number 8 that's going to cost you $0 to start is becoming a headhunter. And no, this is not to be confused with a bounty hunter. This is the business of finding and recruiting highly skilled talent for very specific roles. So what this business involves is sort of similar to what we just talked about with the travel planning business, is establishing this big roster of connections. What you're going to aim to do is have a big list of contacts and connections who are employers, but also a big basket of talent that you also know and sort of represent, where you are always out scouting different opportunities for them. And what you're aiming to do here is to match up your clients, your highly skilled talent, with the companies that are looking to fill these positions and earning a commission in the process. But how do you actually get clients to represent? Well, let me give you the step-by-step process. What you're going to do is very similar to that resume writing service we talked about earlier, is you're going to offer a free resume review, and you're going to pretty much tailor this to very specific people that you reach out to. So I would recommend going on LinkedIn LinkedIn, building up a nice, profile yourself, and then adding, some connections who seem to be very successful individuals, and then offering these people a free resume review service. You could also leverage your own personal network of connections if you happen to already know some very, high up people who have good skills and are looking to, make good money. So what you're going to do is you're going to aim to get 10 leads or 10 people who hand you their resume for a resume review or, some type of resume service. And then you have two options. Option number one, you could do the resume review yourself if you want to bootstrap it. And that's also going to help you learn about your candidates. So that's probably your best option. But then the other alternative is if you're looking to basically contract that out, you could hire out the resume review process if you do have money that you want to invest. And you could aim to spend about $1,000 on getting 10 quality leads. And then you're going to exclusively work with just this basket of 10 people, trying to get them into a better position while also, growing your roster of connections at companies and trying to get a better placement where they're making more money, and then you can earn yourself a sweet commission. And so one thing that's going to benefit you greatly here is if you take the time to learn about each one of your clients on a personal level, because this is going to cue you into some personal details in their personal lives that might become motivating decisions behind a job relocation or things like that. For example, if you find out that one of your clients loves hiking and they currently live in Florida, well, maybe they'd be way more open to a job in the Rocky Mountains, even if it's similar pay, where you could still earn your bonus. So try to learn as much as you can about people and what really is motivating them. And then that's going to help you just better match them with a career opportunity. And then what you're going to do is out of those 10 people that you work with, you're going to get at least one match if you keep working. And once you get that match and you earn your first commission, you're simply going to go to that person and say, please give me 2 referrals, only 2, no more, no less. And you're going to ask them for their 2 best connections, but you're also going to ask them if they would meet you for a cup of coffee. That way you can all start that relationship together and they can basically bridge that gap. So you'd probably want to do this separately with the 2 individuals, but that is how I would recommend getting into the headhunting business. So to do well with this, you are going to need to be a networking god, but you are only going to need a laptop and a phone. And as far as earnings potential goes, you could probably make $75 to $150 per hour if you're doing this as a paid service, working for your clients, because there are some individuals who will pay a headhunter to find them a job. There's also companies that pay hourly for you to go find a candidate, but in most cases, if a company is paying a headhunter, it is a bonus-based commission and not some type of hourly pay. The pro here is that you can leverage your vast personal network, but the con is that you need a vast personal network. So if you don't have one of those already, it's probably not the business for you to start. But if you just so happen to know a lot of people, this is a great way to make money by just matching these people up with different opportunities. So the next idea here is one of the oldest $0 business ideas in the book, and that is a social media marketing agency. And if you're not familiar, this is the business of providing digital ad services to other businesses out there. Now, what's great about this is that the businesses themselves pay for the ads directly, so your monthly fee is just for managing the campaign. So this does give you the potential here for a very high, potentially 100% profit margin if you yourself are handling all aspects of the services being rendered. Now, one thing to consider is that videography and photography services often go hand in hand with social media marketing, because you're basically going to approach a business and say, hey, I'm going to help you with getting a better presence on social media. And so they're immediately going to have to start getting together content, which is photos and videos for social media. So that is something to consider, is if you want to make the most money, keep those services in-house and maybe even do them yourself as an additional upsell. Now, here's the thing. Of course, it's difficult to get a business to agree to put you on a monthly retainer, especially if you have 0 track record and they don't know who the heck you are. So let me give you the stepping stone stones to this business. That way you can get some money coming in, get it in your pocket, and build into the SMMA business over time. So what you want to do is start off by offering very affordable videography and photography services, somewhere in the neighborhood of $50 to $100 per hour, or I would say $250 per shoot. At that point, you reach out to businesses in your area, or you just drop in and you simply market your services and say, hey, I'm offering video and photo services, and you give them your prices and you say, hey, basically give me a shout if you have any needs for these types of things. Now at that point, let's say you go out and talk to 25 businesses. I think you're going to have 1 or 2 call you back for a gig. And what you're going to do is, while you're helping them take those photos or videos or whatever it may be, you're just going to be curious and you're going to ask questions. You're going to say, hey, what exactly are you using these photos and videos for, just to learn more about the overall campaign. And this is especially true if you're helping a business owner. But early on, you might just be doing, something for an individual as well, because if you're just broadly marketing photography and videography services, that in and of itself is its own $0 side hustle, assuming you have access to the equipment. So what you're going to do is, after you find out what these photos or images are being used for, well, you're going to offer to make it more tailored for that specific use case, and basically offer to help them with other steps of that process. So for example, if an apple orchard hired you to come take pictures of their apple trees, and you talk to them and find out, oh yeah, they're looking to run a social media campaign in August before apple picking season, well, all of a sudden you could talk to them about, all right, well, we need to do a specific resolution for Instagram posts versus Facebook posts. So you're going to educate them and also take photos in a specific manner that show that you know what you're talking about. And so what I would basically do is find out what they're using these photos for, and then just offer to help them set up the first advertising campaign, even if you're doing it for free, just to show them what you can do. And then from there, after that, after you have literally dropped that value bomb in their lap, that is when you mention, hey, I do this as a business, so keep me in mind for your next marketing campaign. At that point, I would recommend starting off with a $497 per month package, or $997 depending on how ambitious you want to be. Don't worry so much about the starting point, because you just want to get them paying you some amount of money for marketing services rendered, because the idea here is you want to build up over time all of the different services that you're doing. So let's say you start off with managing social media ads for $997 a month, and then you say, hey, we're going to offer email marketing if you want us to write marketing emails for you, and then all of a sudden you're charging $1997 a month. So I've never done this business myself, but what I love about it is you can work with the same clients and just keep selling them new things or additional things, and you can make more money working with the same number of people, and that's just not possible with most business opportunities out there today. So business idea number 10 is starting an influencer agency, where you essentially pair up brands with influencers looking to do sponsored posts. Since influencer marketing is still pretty new, many big brands are just confused and not sure how to book sponsored placements on YouTube channels for influencers, for example. So working with an agency helps in that process. That, of course, enables you to potentially earn a fat commission, even as much as 25% or more of the entire deal. And while the sponsorship budgets have cooled off quite a bit since 2021, I will tell you that there was some insane amounts of money being thrown around. Even on my channel, certain videos that were sponsored were, close to 6 figures for the packages. So if you can imagine what 15 or 20% of that could be, this could be a substantial amount of money if you are booking for a major influencer that has probably 1 million plus followers at this point in time. And the benefit here is, once again, the only supplies you need are a laptop and a phone, similar to being a headhunter. And then the skills that you're going to need are digital campaign tracking, and there's different softwares for that. One of them, I believe, is called Creator IQ, but you can look into that further. And then there's also the skill of organization, which is going to be very important. What helps influencer marketing agencies today is being able to give very granular tracking. So if you're interested in tracking cookies and tracking in general and data, that kind of thing, this could be a really good option for you to look into. As far as the pros, there is high income potential, but the biggest con is it is brand budget dependent, and right now brands are not spending very much money on marketing. So whereas the sponsored deals could have been like $30,000 in 2021, that same deal is probably booking for $3,000 today. So I'm not kidding you when I tell you that some of these budgets have collapsed in the neighborhood of roughly 90% from where they were at. Now, how do you get an influencer to actually work with you? That is by far the most difficult part. Well, what you're going to do is, if you decide to basically start out by finding an influencer and then sourcing deals for them, which is just one way of doing this, well, what you're going to do is simply approach them and say, I will book the first deal for a 0% commission just to show you that I'm serious, and then they make 100% of that deal, and then you're earning a commission on the future deals that they book. The other way to go about this is you could start by approaching a brand and getting a total budget from them. Let's say you approach a up-and-coming dog, Airbnb type thing, where it was like, I don't know, they were doing pet-friendly Airbnb type competitor business, and they were looking to spend a bunch of money on marketing. Let's say you were like, hey, I'll do a $100,000 budget. You spend that with me, and I will give you tracking on that whole campaign, and I can definitely get you better, cost per click than, regular Facebook ads. That's another way to structure that business. But in my opinion, I would just recommend starting off with a 0% commission for your first deal, and then building from there, maybe a 5, 10, 15, and it could be up to 30% of that entire deal. That also depends on like the video outlining process and different things like that. So I have paid up to a 30% commission before for people who book deals on my channel, but that was when they were also outlining the entire presentation. So I literally just had to puppet the presentation and get 70% of that deal. So that's just some insight into how that works. And Creators Agency is actually run by my friend who used to be my former roommate, and he books deals there for Graham Stephan, Andre Geek, and some of these gigantic creators. So if you want to look into an actual version of this, feel free to check out Creators Agency just to snoop on their business. Now, the last tidbit I will leave you with is, if you start off and you're working with a brand and then you go off and try to find influencers who match that budget, if the deal is good and then the brand is reputable and not scammy, even so, you're still going to expect about a 1 in 10 success rate. And that is just because influencers in general are very difficult to lock down, and many of them are just not doing sponsorships. Like me personally, I'm probably just not doing them anymore. For a period of time when people were willing to pay me $40,000 for a legitimate, sponsorship where the company's not scammy, it would be a silly business decision to have said no to that way back in 2021. But now when you're talking about a couple thousand here and there, it's really not quite worth the squeeze that it was initially. But again, even so, a 1 in 10 success rate is about what you're going to expect. So if you find that you've reached out to like 25 influencers and you're getting no response, the problem is probably the brand and the sponsored placement, or potentially the budget, and not so much your approach to things. So idea number 11 is to rent your land that you currently have, or spare room if you have either of these things. And I know what you're thinking, how am I going to, get people who are going to want to stay on my land? But there's actually an entire app designed for that called HipCamp. I've used it myself because I have a Jeep Gladiator that's set up as an overland rig, and I've used that app to book campsites across the United States, and it is really handy. It's basically the Airbnb of camping, and now you can also book, campsites and things like that directly on Airbnb. But I'm talking about more so on the income side of doing that as a business on your own land. And sure, most people don't just have a spare room in their house that they're looking to rent out, but I want you to get creative and think about if you have a barn or an outbuilding building or a shed? Or do you have space to build a cabin? Because you don't need to have a legal structure. I mean, obviously you're gonna need to have insurance on it, but that usually comes in through Airbnb. But many of these structures are literally under 140 square feet, so they don't have any building code in place in most states. I know that will be the case here in New York, and that's because I plan on actually doing this as a business in 2023 on some land that I strategically purchased on a pond. So that's something I plan on doing, and I'm going to document that series in the future. So if you want to see that when that comes out, make sure you subscribe and hit that bell for future notifications on business videos and content just like this video here. And the beauty of Hip Camp in particular is you simply just need some groomed land and you're pretty much ready to roll. I mean, you're gonna wanna offer people something called a luggable loo after maybe you've done a first couple of bookings, and that's essentially a 5-gallon bucket with a toilet seat on it, and then there's a whole apparatus that goes with it where people can basically use that for the bathroom. But down the road, when you have actual money to reinvest, all you have to do is rent a porta-john for a seasonal rate, or even you can pay them monthly, and that just becomes an operating cost that you factor into your whole equation. And then once you have one cabin or one campsite that you're operating and it's doing well, at that point you would scale up with your profits and you would see if that has any impact on your booking rate, because you wouldn't want to double up on your cabins if that was going to cut your occupancy rate by 50%. But if you're in a high demand area and you're getting bookings like crazy, starting with one cabin or one campsite and then scaling up is sort of the strategy I plan on following. So on my land, I will probably start with just one cabin and one campsite, and then if that's getting booked like crazy, expanding to more cabins without, cannibalizing my own operation there. So overall, I just think Hip Camp is one of the coolest and most slept on opportunities right now. You can test the market with a campsite, and then if that does well, you can do the cabin. To tell you the truth, I probably am going to do that because maybe the cabin might not get booked in that particular area, but like, what risk is there in taking pictures of some groomed land, putting it on an app and saying, yes, you can stay here? I mean, normally for that, you're thinking about $17 a night, maybe $20 is what I would see on the app. But as soon as you add amenities, which could be a swing, a picnic table, now you're talking $25, $30 a night, and you just add these amenities over time, adding value to, what you have going, and then increasing the nightly rate as you add new things. Business idea number 12 is reselling. And I know what you're gonna say here. Wait a second, this is a video on $0 business ideas. But look, here's the thing. We've covered so far 11 different $0 business ideas, and if you haven't had one yet that's applicable, there's still going to be quite a few more at the end here, but in this one in particular, it's just such a good way to make money that I had to include it. And my caveat here that I'm going to go with is that you can raise the working capital from one of your other $0 businesses, or if you really want to do the free approach, start with bartering, okay? And that is where there's a section on Craigslist for it, and you can put it on Facebook too. You literally put something up for trade, for barter. And so like, let's say you have an object or an item that you don't want that has value, put it up for barter, see what offers you get, and also field offers by looking at what people are bartering for. It's sort of a bizarre thing, but I did it when I was a teenager just because I thought it was fascinating to try to barter. There was a TV show about it called Barter Kings that I became obsessed with. My cousin and we did. But anyway, so this is something that you can do with $0 with bartering, or raise working capital with one of the other ideas. And reselling is just basically being a middleman where you buy something from one person and sell it to another by understanding the arbitrage opportunity there, which is just, hey, there's a difference in the price I can buy this for versus the price I can sell it for over here. And so what that comes down to is just understanding your market. And so where people get into trouble with reselling, and another word for it is just flipping, is not knowing the market and what they're particularly doing. So it could be watches, it could be Matchbox cars, it could be anything really, luxury goods. But Pokemon cards, as long as you know what to look for and you understand the market and you understand the difference between what you can buy for and sell for, you can make money with anything here. So let me give you an example of this from my childhood, because my dad and I were both into flipping, and him and I would actually flip sailboats. It's kind of a weird item to flip. But our best deal ever is that we went and picked up a sunfish sailboat that was listed for, I want to say $800. It was a very fresh listing. The price was way off, but nonetheless, my dad taught me to, never go in super hot when you're trying to buy something, and we still negotiated with them and got them down to $500 for the boat. But then at that point, my dad taught me another very valuable lesson in flipping and bartering, and that is, when you are on that person's property, glance around and make offers on other items that they have. And another TV show example here, American Pickers, I'm sure if you guys remember that show on the History Channel, that's exactly what they would do. They would get on someone's property, even if you're not making the best deal on that first deal, you just get a deal, get on their property, and then make offers on other things that you're seeing. So we had this sailboat for $500, but we had a problem, and that was the fact that we didn't have a trailer for it, and we were going to try to lift it up and stick it in the back of my dad's truck. And then my dad looked over and he had noticed that there was a trailer that had been used for a jet ski, and the jet ski was not on it any longer. So my dad creatively asked the guy and said, "Hey, what are you doing with that trailer?" And the guy said, "Oh, nothing, because I just sold the jet ski." So my dad goes, "Okay, how about $100 more and we'll take it off your hands?" The guy thought like we were doing him a favor. So for $600, we got a sunfish sailboat on a trailer. We used it for a season, and we flipped it for somewhere around $2,500 the very next season, and that was like 10 years ago. So you could only imagine with inflation and everything, that would be a much bigger figure. But yeah, just understand that it's all about knowing your market, and then you start small, and then you just keep building up more and more. A lot of people start off by flipping phones, and then they flip cars, and then they flip houses, and then they flip businesses. Think about how this works and how these skills stack and layer on top of each other, and that's gonna be a higher payoff for each one of those flips. Myself personally, I have now gotten to the level of house flipping where I'm in the middle or actually at the end of a house flip. But yeah, flipping businesses is something I'm going to consider because of my blogging experience, is just being able to buy a blog, monetize it better, increase the value, and just flip it. And that's something where you could make $100,000 in the process of a couple of weeks even. So anyways, you can read more about flipping here, guys. I think most people understand it. There's so much room for profit, but 10 to 25% profit margins per flip is generally what you're looking for. But look, learn the skill of flipping. Start with something small. Phones, electronics, whatever it is, Pokemon cards. Even if you lose money on your first few flips, you're going to learn so much in the process. But I just cannot, attest to a more valuable skill than flipping, because you could apply it to any market at any point in time. You learn the market as long as you know what to look for, and you could literally just pull money out of thin air by understanding arbitrage and being able to basically pick out a deal in your given market. So business 13 is coding for hire. And this is pretty much learning a coding language and then getting paid hourly for doing that freelance for other people. So there's a website out there called Code Academy that has tons of free coding languages that you can learn. There are some that are paid if you were to go down that avenue. For example, if you wanted to learn this one here called Python, you would need to pay some amount of money. It's nowhere near what you pay for a college class. So if you actually commit to learning that language, that ROI on that could be, 10,000x, in the first year if you spend $100, for example. But I have, like I said, no affiliation with any of these things listed here, guys. No sponsorship. This is just honest, regular advice here without any, anybody telling me what to say, which is nice. But anyway, so Code Academy has plenty of free languages, like I want to say maybe JavaScript or HTML, some of these older ones you can learn for free, but that is still just so valuable today. And think about the fact that things are getting more digital with time, not less. And again, this is a laptop and internet-based skill. You just have to learn a coding language. And that is the biggest con here, is that there can be a big learning curve. curve. I'll never forget when I was 16, it was just one of my whims. I said, I'm going to learn Ruby on Rails. It was just a language that I had heard was going to be important, and I'm sure it was. I probably would have made a lot of money, but I spent like 2 or 3 hours on a Saturday trying to just teach myself Ruby on Rails, and it was very frustrating, and I was like, okay, programming is not for me. But if you have the right brain for it, I mean, it is one of the most valuable skills you can learn, and so I would highly recommend it. And there's ways to level up with this business too. Level 1 would be learning a coding language and then coding by the hour, starting off at $50 an hour, and then maybe working your way up to $250. But that's probably going to be about the ceiling on, freelance coding. Level 2 would be offering full-scale, project-based compensation where you're not getting paid by the hour, you're getting paid for completing a project. So at that point, somebody would approach you with what their needs are, and you would bid that on the entire project. So now you're talking, okay, maybe you're making $1,000 to $10,000 or more per project. And then once you have that knocked out and maybe you have a whole team, that's when you would do full-scale app development. And now you're talking about something that you charge north of 6 figures for in the minimum. So that's how you can really take a simple, $50 an hour skill and scale it up to literally something you could make $100,000 on, is just by, doing more for your client as you progress. Business number 14. Look, I know it sounds silly, but it's not. You can make so much freaking money as somebody doing an Airbnb experience. And I'm telling you this because when I was doing a lot of travel pre the whole Rona situation, that was something I would do quite a bit, is book experiences, whether it was a pub crawl or in Mexico, I paid this guy to do a nature walk through the desert and things like that. So these are very popular. And what most people don't realize is, and it's written in my book actually, that you are actually the unofficial expert on your hometown. And you might not realize that, but like you literally are. And so if you've lived in the same place for maybe 5 years, maybe if you've lived there for longer, that's better. But if you know anything about that area and there's any level of demand for people booking in that area, do an Airbnb experience, because what you're going to be doing is literally at the end of the day getting paid to socialize. What's cool about this is the only supplies you need are a phone, because you could literally just do a walking tour in your hometown, talk to people about the buildings and the architecture, or even just brush up on that information, and then do like 1 hour walking tours. And then you might have 2 people book, you might have 5 people book, so like let's say for example you do a 1 hour walking tour and it's $30, or let's even say it's $20. And let's say one particular day you get 10 people, well, you just made roughly $200 for an hour of your time. And then of course there's going to be some fee charged by Airbnb, but experiences can really make you a lot of money. And it's just such a low barrier to entry business. Like you literally just try it, and if it works, you make money. And if it doesn't, like, what did you venture? You opened an app on your phone and you took a picture of something and you filled out some text. And then potentially somebody's going to be like, ooh, yes, I want to hang out with you and you can walk me around your hometown and we'll go get a couple of beers and then I'm going to pay you $75. Like, that was my experience in Seattle on a pub crawl. Like this guy just knew the area and talked about awesome stories and like was just hanging out with us, and he made like $75 from me and $75 from the other group, so that was like $150. And one thing I will give you as a tip, if you do take action on this advice, is you should offer multiple Airbnb experiences and think of it like a funnel. You want to start off with like a really cheap experience, like something that is somehow like $17 or maybe $20, and that is just to get people in the door, and that's when you're going to basically show them how awesome you are, and then you have other experiences that you upsell. For example, when I did the nature walk in Mexico, that particular guy also offered a hot springs tour that was like $150, which initially I would not have booked, but I ended up booking it because the first experience was so cool, and he upsold it while we were doing it. So just keep that in the back of your mind, treat it like a funnel, and I would have at least 3 experiences that you offer. Like I said, one that's around maybe $20, and then maybe you do $50, and then maybe you do $100, but having a tier is going to enable you to make more money. Finally, number 15, it's something that we kind of alluded to in the social media slide, but it's so much more than just, a side note, so I wanted to give it its entire slide. That is building websites for businesses. And I don't know why this seems like that's outdated now, because I'm sure people hear that and it's like, oh yeah, people have been saying to do that for, 10 years. But like, it's still very, very important and a great way to make money, because business owners don't know how to make websites. And what they do know how to do is go on Wix or Squarespace or X, Y, or Z, and they know how to pay for a monthly subscription for a site builder. But what they don't know, and it's something I'm mentioning in my upcoming video where I actually build a website for a business, is that the long-term cost of maintaining a WordPress website self-hosted versus, something like Wix is typically going to be a lot cheaper. So not only do you have more control, you can actually lower your monthly cost. And so what I always tell people is, if, for example, you approach a business about making a website and they're like, oh no, I have Wix or I have Squarespace, you find out the cost per month, and then you tell them the cost you can get them down to on your WordPress self-hosted, and typically you can get that down to $10 to $15 a month, depending on hosting and the aggregated annual cost of the domain or whatever. But basically, what you want to do there is show them the difference in price, but then project that out like 5 or 10 years in the future, because most people don't think about this. But your business website, as long as you don't go out of business, is going to be there forever. So even if it's a difference of $10 a month or $120 per year, well, your business, is it going to be around in a decade? Yes. Well, then you're spending $1,200 that you don't have to. All of a sudden, that becomes a far more compelling argument to spend $1,000 with you to build the website, because you can say, hey, this pays for itself in 10 years. So just think about how you can creatively market websites in that way. But anyway, building websites for business, well, WordPress.org is a open source software, so that's going to cost you $0. The domain's going to run you about $12 per year. In web hosting, with the first year promotional offer, you can usually get that down to about $3 per month. Now, the renewal rate is going to be around probably $12 to $13 a month. So it's like a teaser rate, kind of like the cable company, but you can get it in very cheap. And then you just simply need to learn the skill of building websites. But here's the cool part, is you can learn it by building your own website first. So you can literally just do like trial by fire and learn WordPress very easily. If you wait for my video coming out shortly, it'll be a great option. So subscribe, and again, hit that bell for when my WordPress business tutorial comes out. I show you how to build business websites on WordPress. But don't worry about knowing everything at this point in time. It's cheap to build your own website. You could also do it for free if you don't want to lock down a domain yet, or you could just learn about it for free and try to lock down a paying client, even if it's $100, just to learn that way if you don't want to invest any money, if you want to keep it to true bootstrapping and at that true $0 business level. Now, once again, like I said, I always love secondary income streams, kind of like earning that commission if you're, bringing the dogs to the groomer. Well, here's another one. Web host affiliates pay out a ton of money. It's often a commission of more than $75 when somebody signs up for an annual web hosting plan. So if you end up, doing 1 or 2 websites a month, you can literally just help your clients sign up for the web host, and it's going to help the process be easier for them, and you're going to earn a commission in the process. Now, you do have to disclose that to them, but I mean, I've done this for the business I helped build their website for, which is in my upcoming video, and I was like, hey, I'll help you sign up, I'm earning a commission, and then I'll build your website, I'm making a video on it, so it was a whole thing that worked out that way. But anyway, if you do this at scale, become an affiliate for the web host that you recommend, whether it's SiteGround, Bluehost. There's many different ones out there, but they have affiliate programs, so you can earn a commission every time you sign up and build a new website for a business. And the cool thing about blogging is that besides the domain cost and web hosting, the way I build websites personally, everything else I use from that point forward is 100% free. So I use a free theme, and then I launch the site using a free templated starter site. So I'm talking about eliminating like 90% of the work associated with building a website. So it's not like starting from a blank page and building from that. It's like starting from a template and then changing those pieces out for the photos of that business versus this business. And I'm not kidding when I tell you, it can literally be that easy. So more information on this here, guys. The skills that you require, it's really basic computer navigation, and then you can completely teach yourself this skill with free YouTube videos. In the earnings potential, I mean, you can make 1K to 10K per site easily, but where you can make a ton of money with this is the ongoing maintenance packages that you sell as well. So for example, before I learned how to just build my own websites and design them, I paid somebody $2,500 to do my RyanOScribner.com personal brand website. But in addition to that, he also pitched me his ongoing website maintenance packages, which for me, I just didn't necessarily think I needed because of my automated methods for doing those things. But a lot of his clients were interested in that. So even after making a big chunk of money for a 100% profit margin skill, if you're doing it yourself, he also often gets people on a monthly retainer starting at $197 as high as $997 per month for ongoing updates and maintenance and things like that. Another important thing is just downloading backups of the site. So those are all things you can build in as a monthly SaaS service, and then you can earn recurring revenue from your existing clients and then just build new websites and get more recurring revenue clients and build out a whole agency for websites. That's what my friend who builds websites has done. And so that's sort of the ultimate goal, is to have an agency. And with that, you could make $50,000 a month easily with that type of business within a couple of years. And the best way to start out with this business is to basically go into literal brick and mortar businesses, and you can offer to do a free website audit. Or if that's not working, something that's kind of a interesting method is you just wander into a business and you say, hey, I'm interested in bringing my friend here, but I want to send them information. Where's your website by chance? And if you by chance know they don't have one because you looked before you went in, you can catch them in a moment where they're like, oh, shoot, I don't have one. Oh, just by chance, I design websites. That's what I do. They're going to be like, wow, holy crap, what a miracle. So think about that, guys. Get creative. You can learn just by Googling whether or not a business has a website, and then just show up and do exactly that. And maybe you do it 10 times to get your first deal. And then from that point, it's referral based, but it's really just about your first client. And that's the case with a lot of these business ideas, just getting that first client and then not being afraid to ask for referrals and recommendations to other people. And I'm not saying that you're paying money on these referrals. I mean, the only ones that I would recommend that for is, like, for example, the service-based ones, whether it's coding or writing services. Maybe you take $10 off or something like that. But for something like this, where somebody's referring you to another business for a website, just to be clear, I'm not talking about paying them a commission for that. That's just something they are going to want to do for you, because when you over deliver and when you're good at what you do, and then people are happy, like, they just naturally want to reciprocate the good feelings that they're experiencing because of what you've done for them, and they're going to want to help you further with your business. Alrighty, guys, so that's going to wrap up this video on $0 business ideas. If I kept my promise and you found one that really did seem like it's going to work for you, please drop a like and also subscribe and hit that bell, because I'm going to be doing a lot more content just like this. Also, if you want to learn more about my most lucrative side hustle, blogging, and I'm literally like tripling down on this right now in terms of the sites I'm building and my plans in the future. But like, what I'm going to be showing you guys in here is the closest thing to like my secret sauce as there could be. And I was hesitant to even include it in the video here because I've already shared this with my email list and had a lot of people take me up on this offer, because I truly don't want this information in too many people's hands. And I know that sounds like the marketing gimmick that most gurus would pitch you, but like, I'm not kidding you when I tell you that I've had to distill this information from so many sources. I mean, I have been in situations where I will say I've encountered people who I wouldn't have normally been able to, and been able to ask them questions, and I've talked to 8-figure blogging operations, and I've learned so much about this space since 2018 when I launched Investing Simple, that when I'm telling you that I have a lot to deliver in this course, I'm for certain going to back that up. I mean, I have so much to share with you guys, and it's all going to be in Affiliate Blogging 101. So on the bottom right, That was my very first site, Investing Simple, in 2018. That's the one that had an article that made like over 60,000, I had said, something in that neighborhood in 2021. That was during the whole meme stock mania in January, so that was crazy for our website. And then Farmland Riches is number 2. That's the second affiliate blog that I have launched. And number 3, well, you're going to have to buy my book, pre-order, and join us in Affiliate Blogging 101 to find out. And we're going to be launching it step by step. So anyways, guys, one more time, the link to buy my book is sidehustlebook.info. Not to mention the book itself. I mean, you're going to love the book. I promise you. If you don't, send me a DM on Instagram and we will figure it out. I promise you, this is going to be like no book you have ever read. And it's going to be like no course you have ever taken. And I will back myself up on both of those promises. And once again, DM me if you feel that is not the case. So anyways, guys, if you are looking to take me up on this, all you have to do, pre-order the book on Amazon, or it's in a couple of different places, take a screenshot, scribble out your personal information, and then send me a direct message on Instagram with that screenshot and your email. Or you can also email me confirmation to info@ryanoscribner.com, and then I'm just going to put you on a literal spreadsheet, and then in November, when the course is ready, I'm going to enroll you in this free teachable course, and that's going to be the way you access it. So there's nothing you're going to pay for. There's no gimmick here. There's like nothing that's going to be, there's no strings attached. There's no surprises. It's just going to be an incredible amount of free value. And once again, this is the only way you will ever be able to access this is by pre-ordering the book. I'm never going to sell this or make it available anywhere else. And as soon as my book is out, this will never be available ever again. Alrighty, guys, that is going to wrap up this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks so much for tuning in. Once again, like and subscribe if you haven't already. Hit that bell for notifications, and I hope to see you in the next video.